Welcome back. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Biden are working to court Black, Latino, and other minority voters with just 18 days until Election Day. But Harris is slipping with young black men in battleground states, according to a new Howard University poll. Black men under 50 years old, Harris performed the worst. She holds a 68% to 21% lead to Trump among the voting bloc. Politico, meanwhile, reporting that some black voters in Georgia now see Trump as the real option, with one black woman saying she supported Biden in 2020, did not like Trump then, but now she likes him. In Pennsylvania, Harris campaign staffers are warning it's a mess, with one campaign operative warning that the vice president and her allies are falling down on the job of reaching out to non-white voters. Joining me now is civil rights attorney, talk radio host, and Fox News contributor Leo Terrell, as well as Republican strategist and Madison firm lead attorney Jonathan Madison. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Thanks so much for being here. And we're going to play the Barack Obama comments in just a moment. But I want to get your take among this community to see what's happening with regard to Trump. How do you see it, Jonathan?
You know, I think if you look at the polls, they all collectively suggest the same thing, whether it's the NBC poll, whether it's the Pew Research Center. Donald Trump is on pace to have the greatest showing among African-American male voters since Richard Nixon in 1960. That's nearly 70 years ago. If you look at how he's polling with Hispanic voters, he's on pace to do the best he's done, a Republican candidate, since 2004. You look at George Bush at that time. So collectively, he's reaching out to minority voters in a way that Republicans have not been able to do for decades. So, for all the talk of the left and how he's not being able to connect with black voters, a lot of that's hogwash. He's on pace to do something historic, something we haven't seen in a long time, Maria.
And I want to know why. I mean, former President Barack Obama made some real condescending remarks. He's being slammed for basically scolding black men for not supporting Harris. This was when he was at that campaign field office in Pittsburgh last week. Watch this.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
Okay, so I guess if you're a black man and you don't support Kamala Harris, you must be afraid of having a woman in the White House, Leo.
You know, Maria, those comments are insulting and intelligent to every black American. Why? Because Obama thinks we all think alike, we act alike, and we must cooperate with the Democrat Party. I want to be very clear. Skin color is not holding back black Americans. What's holding back black Americans? Illegal immigration, the economy, and crime. And President Trump is focusing on that, where Democrats and Kamala Harris are trying to pander to black America, and it's insulting. 79%, Maria, of Americans believe that we're on the wrong track. That includes black Americans, Hispanics. And to get on the right track, we got to focus on what is holding black Americans and all Americans back. And that is the economy, illegal immigration, and crime. And that is what Trump is focusing on, instead of just weed and $20,000 of a forgivable loan.
Well, I mean, that's what I want to ask you about, Leo, because look at these policies that Harris unveils for black men. First of all, why are you coming up with policies just for black men? You want to give $1 million away in forgivable loans. So, okay, here's 20 grand for you, black men, and just come and vote for me. I mean, what is a forgivable loan? It's just basically giving you $20,000. And then legalize recreational marijuana at the federal level so that they could have marijuana businesses. I don't understand these policies at all. What's your take on it, Jonathan?
She's totally missed the mark. She's assuming we all need a handout because we're African Americans. when all this, in actuality, all we want is the same thing as every other American. We just want opportunities. We want the economy to be thriving. We want people to survive and thrive at every end of the socioeconomic spectrum. She just doesn't get it. And by the way, the fact that you have the first African-American president this nation has ever seen telling other black men they need to do the right thing, so to speak, and support a black woman, the fact that he needs to scold people to do that suggests the underlying problem in and of itself. There should be no reason for him to do that. He understands he had a change election. He didn't have to scold people. This is a change election. The only thing that hasn't changed is Kamala Harris. She is the burden. She is the person that hasn't changed. And the last thing I'd say, Maria, is the only thing we know about Kamala Harris is her favorite tagline. She grew up in a middle-class family, but no one cares.
Yeah. Well, look, Leo, it's like when Biden said, you know, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, right? Remember when Joe Biden said that? And I thought, what? What does that mean? And the same thing with Latino voters. Look, I hate to put everybody in different categories because I think you said it. You're spot on, both of you. We all want the same things. We want safety and security for our family. We want opportunity and potential for growth in our own lives with our jobs and with visions for the future. We want the American dream. I mean, we all want the same thing, but look at Latino voters as well. Harris is underperforming there as well. So she's trying to fit herself into a pretzel to answer what they want, apparently, as if it's something different. The last three Democrat presidential candidates, while Trump maintained his support among the critical bloc of Latinos, this according to the New York Times Siena College poll, in 2016, 68% of Latinos backed the Democrat nominee for the last three presidents. It dropped to 62% in 2020, and now Harris has earned just 56% of their support. Trump is gaining support here as well. He's earned 28% support in 2016, 36% in 2020, and now he's at 37%, Leo. A new poll from The Independent also finds 60% of Hispanic voters believe there's a crisis at the border. The candidate's stance on immigration will be key to how they actually vote. Leo, they see what's gone on at the border. They feel they've come here and they've gone through the legal procedure to get their citizenship. And now you've got all these people jumping the line, unvetted. They're upset about it just like the rest of us.
And because all Americans have the same concern about illegal immigration. Maria, it's very simple. The Democrats are the 1965 playbook. Yeah. Systemic racism does not exist in this country. And that comment that Joe Biden made in 2020, that about if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, that is the #1 reason why I left the Democratic Party, voted for Trump in 2020, and have voted for him in 2024.
What do you think these candidates should have done in terms of speaking to different groups? I mean, you've got an economic plan from Trump in terms of tapping into energy, in terms of extending the tax cuts. You've got plans that are, I think, on the fringe for Kamala Harris. She's got money that she's going to offer if you want to buy a home. She's talking about keeping corporations in check, raising taxes on corporations and the highest earners. She hasn't really come out with a significant economic plan. But what do you want to hear in that regard, Leo?
I want to hear something that's going to give me individual choice. Everything Kamala Harris talks about is the government assisting you, government providing these controls. You want individual choice. Donald Trump is opening up energy, opening up the economy, giving Americans the right to make a decision on what's in their best interest instead of Kamala Harris telling black Americans and all Americans what's in their best interest.
Well, the other thing that everybody wants is they want to ensure that we're living and, by the Constitution. And one thing people are afraid of is censorship from the Democrats. We've seen what happened during COVID with the Twitter files. And we've seen what Hillary Clinton said recently, if we don't monitor and make sure we're on top of all the, posts on social media, they lose control. I mean, Jonathan, this is a serious issue. That's why Elon Musk was talking about it in Pennsylvania the other day, last night.
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic leadership right now, all they want is to control and manipulate the airwaves and our right to the First Amendment, essentially, our right to free speech. I think African Americans understand that, Hispanics understand that, all minorities understand that. And so, Harris's inability to effectively communicate policies that will translate among all races is really going to be the disaster here in the end. I think you're going to see it. I think the polls suggest that. I think the average American reaction to her policies suggests that. And lastly, I would just say, I think the fact that she's taking the minority vote for granted here, along with Barack Obama, trying to scold people into voting for her, will speak for itself in the end here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And how do you both feel about a fair election, Leo? Are you expecting a fair election? Will we know who won on election night?
Do I believe there's going to be a fair election? Possibly. I love the Republican strategy, Maria, to file these preemptive lawsuits before the election to get the courts involved to make sure there's election integrity. So I think it's very important. But there's no guarantee of a fair election.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. In Georgia, Kelly Loeffler saying that Republicans are prepared to prevent any fraud. And she's also talking about huge early voting numbers in Georgia. Over 500,000. Is what I'm reading here. Of course, the early voting began this week in Georgia. Gentlemen, great to have you here and this conversation. We appreciate it. Jonathan Madison and Leo Terrell. Thanks, gentlemen.